welcome to our beginner's guide to Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm Mo Stacks. I shoot music videos for artists in LA and Vegas, and today I'm going to be taking you through the basics. Step 1, opening Premiere Pro and creating a new project. So once you're inside of Adobe Premiere Pro, you can click this new project button right here. And then you're going to get this window. I would name your project. So for this one, it's going to be a music video called Came Through. The project location, I'm going to choose a location either on my hard drive, or for me, I like to use external hard drives. And then I'm going to find that particular location, and it's right there. I'm going to choose that. And I don't really have a project template, so I'm just going to click create, right? And for me, I'm overwriting a project. So if you name it the same thing, this is what's going to happen. You can either click cancel or replace. Step 2, understanding and using the workspace. So when you open Premiere Pro for the first time, you are going to come to a window that is similar to this. Just to kind of show you around a little bit, you can change which viewpoints or what window or workspace that you want to work in. So when I'm first getting started, I like to be in this assembly window, but there are various different workspaces that might work for you depending on where you are in your workflow. But I highly recommend starting here when you first get started. So let's click the assembly window. So now that you're in, let's kind of describe some of these windows. So this project tab, and there's multiple tabs here. This project tab is one of the most important. This is where you're going to start importing your clips and your media, and where everything for a particular project is generally going to be located. Inside here, you have your source window. You have your program window. Your source window is going to play the clips that you have in your project window. And your program window is going to play clips that you have in your timeline. We'll get to that later. But this is generally what the windows look like inside of Premiere Pro. And one quick tip that I wish someone would have told me when I first started editing is that these little tabs are very interchangeable. If I wanted my project window to be over here, I can just drag it and drop it. If I want it to be close to the project timeline, I can drag it and drop it there. And if I want to place it back to where it was, I can drag and drop it there, right? Right. If I want this to be all the way to the left, I can drag and drop it, right? So that's how that works. Step 3, importing media. So the quickest way to import media into Adobe Premiere Pro is to drag and drop. Go to your files inside of your computer, either through your Finder window if you're on a Mac, or your file location, your file folder if you're on a PC. Right here, I have everything organized. So I'm going to drag these 2 videos that I have inside of my project window. I'm also going to drag in these 2 stills that I have. And then I'm also going to drag in the audio, which is the song for the music video that I'm editing, right? Okay. And now they're there. So if I were to double click one of these boxes, so here are my videos. Here's clip number 1. Here's clip number 2. And as you see, they pop up in the source window, right? If I wanted to see the audio, I could double click that. And I don't get any video for the audio. I just get a visualization of the waveforms here, right? And for photos or stills, here's a still that I created in Photoshop. And here's another still, which is the title cover of this particular video, right? So that's how you import media. Another way to do it would be to go into File and then Import here. I find it way more difficult to do that than to just drag and drop. You know, that's the easiest way to get clips in. Step 4, organizing your media. There's a button here, and if you click on it, it will create a new bin or a new folder, right? I would create one for videos. I would create one for audio. Oops, misspelled that. I would create one for sequences. Make sure to drag those outside of the folder. and I would create one for stills. That's pretty much my standard setup. So then I'm going to highlight these and then drag them into their appropriate folders. Right? And this is for organization. Yeah, right. So now once we have all of these things organized, step 5, creating a sequence. A sequence is an organization of clips and audio and media on a timeline. And just to show you how you might create a different sequence, like for a music video. If we're using a song as an example, I typically will use portions of a song in creating my sequence. So I'll create an intro, a verse 1, a hook, a verse 2, and an outro, right? So if I'm creating a sequence, the first way that I might do that would be to go grab the video that is going to be the main source, and then I'm just going to drag that onto my timeline, right? And then that's going to create this sequence right here. It's going to name it the same thing as my clip. So if I want to rename that, I'm going to click in there, and then I'm going to name it intro, right? Bam, right? So now that's my first sequence, but that's a barbaric way to kind of create a sequence, especially putting your whole clip down there. That's probably not how you're going to want to really import your clips in. So let's erase that. But this is the easiest way to create a sequence, and making sure that it's exactly the same settings as your clip, that it's 24 frames per second if you compare the two. And then making sure that it's the same frame size. So it's 3840 by 2160 pixels, and so is our sequence, right? The second way to create a sequence is to go down here where it says new item, click that. And then it's going to give you all of these sequence presets. And you can also make your own preset in here, right? So if you know you wanted ProRes RAW 4K at 24 frames per second, you could click on that one. And if you wanted to customize that, right, you could go in here and then change this to 3840 by 2160, change that to 3840 by 2160 in the video previews. And then you can go in there and save that as a preset. So if we save this as test 2, because I already have a few in there, whenever you do that in the future, there will create a folder for you called custom, where your new presets will be there, right? And you see I have many for IG and Facebook videos, for IG stories, for even Spotify canvases. If you do any music for any music artists, sometimes they'll ask you to create a canvas for their Spotify channel, right? So let's cancel that, right? But if you clicked OK, it would have created another sequence for us. So that's how you create a sequence. Step 6, adding clips to the timeline. Well, I already showed you a way to drag and drop a clip onto the timeline. You can do that, right? That's a very, barbaric way to do it. However, generally what happens is if I want to use a specific portion of that video, I'm going to click here, go inside of my source window, figure out which portion I want, right? So here, I might want the video to start right here, right? So I'm going to click in, or the I on my keyboard, right? And let's say I changed my mind and I want it to start from the very beginning. Well, then I could either drag that all the way over and start from the very beginning, or let's say I want to start right when she starts walking, right? So right there, right? That's where I want to start. That's going to be my endpoint. And let's say I want my out point to be right when she reaches the couch. All right, I'm going to click O right there. Okay. Then if I just want the video portion and I don't want the audio, I can use this area where it says drag video only, this button, and then drag that directly onto my timeline. Conversely, if I just wanted the audio, I could drag just the audio there, right? You can press Command Z or Control Z if you're on a PC to go back. And if I just wanted to see the audio of this clip, I could click this button. If I just wanted to see the video, I can click this button there, right? And then if I wanted the audio and video, I could just drag directly from the clip and it will give me the audio and video of this clip, right? So I'm going to press Command Z again. All right, so now let's add a second clip. So that's clip number 1. And let's say I wanted this to be clip number 2, right? We'll press I to have our first endpoint, and then O to have our second endpoint. And then I'm going to drag that onto the clip too, or drag that onto the timeline too. Okay, so I have video here. If we play this timeline, right, I have these 2 videos here. I got video 1, I have video 2. And I wanted to put the actual song behind it. I can just double click the audio here. Do the same thing, press I to have my first endpoint. And then if I just wanted the intro of the song, then press O. And then here there is no video, so this isn't highlighted. We only have audio here on this particular media item, right? So I'm going to put that onto my timeline, and then I'm going to drag that over, and then I'm going to drag these down right here on the audio side of the timeline, which is below this horizontal line, and do the same thing for the video so we can see that a little bit more clearly. And then if you look at this area right here, that's going to be where you can zoom in and zoom out. So if I take this right circle and then press it in, it's going to zoom in right on our clip. And conversely, you can zoom out that way as well. All right. So now we have both of our clips on this timeline with the audio. And just to play the very beginning.
Hey, it's money in here tonight.
Right? So we did a little quick edit there, adding clips to the timeline. So now let's look at some of these tools here. Let's say I think this clip is too long, or this clip is too long, right? And I want to cut it. So I want to cut this in half, and I want to cut this one in half. Well, the first tool we have is the selection tool, right? But if we want to cut something, you're not going to use the default tool, which is the selection tool. You're going to use the razor tool. So you can press C on your keyboard, or you can click this tool right here, right? So now this will cut it. So now if we have your playhead right here and we want to cut this in half, I can snap this tool right there and then cut, right? And then if I want to go back to the placement tool or selection tool, I can click V, highlight that clip, and then press delete, and then it will delete it. And if I wanted to cut the second clip, I could do the same thing. I could press C on my keyboard, go halfway, and then delete this first portion, right? And then go back, press V, the selection tool, and then drag this together. Go to the edge of this clip, and then drag that to the end of that clip, right? And then we just did a quick edit, right? So your 2 main tools are going to be this selection tool and this razor tool. And let's say if I wanted to change the orientation of this, I could drag this and I can drag this to the end, right? So now we have this clip first and this clip second, right? So, and then you can press mute if you don't want any music while you're editing, or the audio to be on the track while you're editing, right? So that's adding clips to the timeline and doing some basic functions like cutting, moving, and deleting clips. Step 7, working with transitions and making your own. The easiest way for a beginner to do transitions would be to go up to this window right here, click this double arrow icon, go down to effects, and you can either type in a transition, or you can go to this drop down menu right here for video transitions. Let's say we wanted a cross dissolve. I can add that to the middle of these 2 clips right there, right? And if I play that, this is what's going to happen, right? So now let's take that off. To take it off, you can highlight it and then press delete. And it'll say I want it to fade to black. I can put that in the middle as well, and you'll see it'll fade to black right there. Right? If I want to delete it, click on that again, and then press delete. So that's a quick way to do a transition, but I usually like to do manual transitions, especially for fades to black. So how would you do that? So the third tool I'm going to show you is this pen tool. You can click P on your keyboard, or click this right there. And then if you zoom in and pull these this video tab up, or video track up, I should say, you're going to see these white horizontal lines, which is the opacity marker for these videos. So if I want it to fade to black towards the end of this video, I can create a motion keyframe right there, and then another motion keyframe by clicking on that white line towards the edge of the clip, and then pull it down to 0. And if I want it to fade in from black in that next video, I could do the same thing where I can click there, add a motion keyframe, click towards the front end of the video on this one, and then drag that all the way down to 0. So now when I play that back, I can have a more dialed in fade where I fade it exactly where I want to rather than just using the standard preset. Right? Step 8, basic effects and adjustments. So one of my favorite effects is turning the video to black and white. And to do that relatively quickly, you can use the tint effect, right? So you can use this search field if you know exactly the effect that you're going to be using. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to drag this onto the second clip that we're on right now. And bam, it turns it immediately into black and white footage. If you wanted to change this, let's say I wanted this black in the video to be purple, per se. Right, I'm going to go to Effect Controls. When you put an effect on a video, in Effect Controls, it places it right here, right? That particular effect will show up inside of the Effect Controls for that particular video. And then I want to map this black to purple. Right, so I'm going to click inside this box, go to purple, right? And bam, there you go. Now you have a video that looks a lot different, right? There are various other effects that you can use if you go to the Effects tab and just go into Video Effects just to play around with different things. You know, there's another one like the perspective one, the distortion one that I like to use a lot. So let's just go to spherize this, right? Drag that on there. And you can do some different things with that, right? Just to give you an example of some things that you can do, you can use. It really is just based upon your creativity. In addition to those effects, the major coloring effects are located in a tab called Lumetri Color. I actually like to go to a different workspace for that, the color workspace. And why do I like going to the color workspace? It's just a different setup for me to see the coloring of my video better. I like to be in this Lumetri Scopes tab, which shows me the exposure of my video. It also shows me the colors. It shows me the primary colors inside of the video. Like here we have a lot of reds and purples, as you can see, and pinks. So this is pretty accurate right here, right? And then you can change things in this tab over here in the larger Lumetri Color tab. And so if I wanted to just auto correct this, I could just click the auto tab and the AI will do it for me, right? It increased the exposure a little bit if you can see the difference, bam, right? Or I could click the reset button. I can bring the blacks down. I could bring the blacks up. I could bring the whites up, the shadows down, whatever you want to do. You could white balance based upon this particular vase right here, you know, and click reset. So that's the Lumetri Color Effects tab. This is extremely important if you're going to be coloring your videos after the fact, which I highly recommend so that you can get a lot more creative of a look out of your music videos, your product shoots, whatever you're shooting. Right. Step 9, exporting your video. How do you export your project? Well, the quickest way to do that would be to just click on the Export tab. They didn't used to have this. For those of us OG editors on Premiere Pro, you can use Command M on a Mac, which is what we used to use before there was a quick export tab. Right. So how do you know what you're exporting? So let's go back into this Edit tab. So I'm going to change my workspace again, go back to the assembly mode just so it's easy for you. Right. And so I want to make sure I'm on my timeline at the edge of this clip. Press O and make sure that this highlighted portion encompasses my entire clip or everything that I want to export, just so that I'm telling the software exactly the area that I want to export. If I wanted that second clip right there, I can just click I on my keyboard. Or if I want all of this, I can just drag that over as well. Just showing you there are multiple ways to skin a cat here, right? So if I want this entire clip and I want the music, I'm going to unmute that, right? Then I'm going to go to export, click the export tab, and here make sure it's named correctly. If you want to name it intro, make sure you're saving it in the right place, right? I even include an export folder. I want to call it intro, click save. And if you want to have some of these presets, they have some for you. They have a high quality 1080p video. They have a high quality 2160p video that's 4K, which is for like YouTube, Vimeo, etc. You want some at a little bit lower resolution. Let's say you're just sharing it. You don't want a huge file size. You can use one of these. And they have many other presets here for you to play around with. You can even create your own like I have for my YouTube videos. Just to show you what my standard preset looks like, it's 3840 by 2160 because that's what my camera typically shoots at. It's 4K or Ultra HD. I render at maximum depth. I use maximum render quality. I use software encoding with the level at 5.2. And then my bitrate settings is usually CBR at 75. I've tested this a million times, so I'm not going to go into the details, but these are my settings to get high quality video on YouTube. So once I have my settings dialed in, I want to make sure the range says source in to source out. I want to make sure this says source in to source out, and that's essentially what we set here with this shaded range, right? So I'm telling it that that's what I want it to export, is the in to the out point. And then I want to make sure this says scale to fit. And then there's two ways to export here. You can click this export button, but if you do that, you will not be able to edit anything until it is done exporting. Or you could send it to Adobe Media Encoder by clicking this button, right? Going into Media Encoder and then clicking this Start Queue button. And as you see, when you do that, it will start exporting your video, right? Quick tip, if you're here before clicking that Start Queue button, you can click this area or this area here if you made a mistake in where you wanted to save it. You can click this button or this button here where you can change some of the export settings, right? If you made a mistake or you see, hey, I just want to double check, right, before you click that Start Queue button. So that's just showing you a little bit about Adobe Media Encoder at the same time. So the video exported relatively quickly, and it does that because I'm on the Mercury Playback Engine GPU acceleration mode. If you know anything about GPUs, this is going to help your computer process things faster. If you're on a slower computer, you might only have this software only option, and I would recommend not using that if you have both, because this is going to take a lot longer if you're on this setting. So if you're seeing that it's taking 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours to export video that is relatively, short in length, that might be the reason, is because this setting is off. So I would recommend putting on GPU acceleration. All right. And then if you want to look at your clip, you can either remember where you saved it and go to that file location, or you can click on this button. It'll pull it up, and then you can play the video.
Hey, it's money in here tonight. Get to the stage. But to hurry up. Giddy up, gallop, whatever you got to do.
That's it for our beginner's guide to Adobe Premiere Pro. Remember, practice makes perfect, or practice makes perfect practice. The only way to master some of these techniques is to do them consistently. I'm Mostax, and if you've received any value from this video, please subscribe to my YouTube page by clicking the link down below.
The way she it up, make 'em rich, want it. Can I touch it while you bust it, rolling?